For this problem, the best approach to this is to go ahead and do your algebra before you do your calculus. And that's been a common theme throughout this course is do I do my calculus first or do I do my algebra first? And so for this one, if you'll do your algebra first and actually divide this, and I'm saying this because we just have a division by a single term on bottom here. And if I have division by a single term, I can go ahead and piece this out. So a couple reminders. Remember, the square root of x is equal to x to the 1/2. And then also remember that when you're working with exponents and dividing them, you subtract those exponents. And so when we're working with this problem, I'm going to keep my integral from 2 to 7 in my dx, but I'm going to go ahead and write this as 4x squared plus 4 over x to the 1/2 dx. Now, if the situation had been reversed and I had had the addition on the bottom and the x to the 1/2 on top, I could not have split it like this. Then I'm going to go ahead and divide this term by x to the 1/2. And so 2 minus 1/2 gives me a 3/2 plus 4 over x to the 1/2 dx. And so I've divided each of the terms by that square root of x. Now I am going to go ahead and rewrite this second term as a 4x to the negative 1/2. So then I can go back to my basics of my power rule and I can say, well, let's just add 1 to the exponent, divide by the new exponent. Now be careful when you're dividing. Be careful when you're adding 1 to the exponent. If I do 3/2 plus 1, common denominator would be 2 over 2. So it gives me 5/2. And then remember, when you're dividing, because this is going to be our 4x to the 5/2, when you're dividing it by that 5/2, that is the same as multiplying your term times the reciprocal of 2/5. So when I go to integrate this, this is actually going to be 2/5 times 4, which is 8 over 5, x to the 5/2, plus, again, remember your addition by 1. Sometimes those negatives can be tricky. So negative 1/2 plus 1. Again, common denominator would be 2 over 2. So that actually gives you a positive 1/2. Dividing by that new exponent. So if I take 4x to the 1/2 and divide it by 1/2, that is multiplying by the reciprocal. And so that's going to give me 8 as my coefficient. And so be careful because it's going to be your fractions and negatives that are going to be a little bit tricky. And again, don't forget your notation. Don't lose your integral and your dx along the way, but once you do get that new integration, you need that straight open down bar from 7 to 2. Then from there, it's just a matter of plugging in our calculator, the 7, and then subtracting off, plugging in the 2. And I don't doubt your calculator skills and using the on-screen calculator, plug that in. Just be careful with your details. And then once you subtract that, you'll have your answer. So I won't spend more time on plugging in and getting that exact answer. The main thing I wanted to cover with you was how to divide, get your new integrand, find your integral, and also go through some of these tips and algebra skills on working with the fractions and the exponents. So let me know if you need additional resources.